Thank you all. Ms. King, roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Thank you, Ms. King. Board, if you'll review the agenda, I need a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Newberry and a second by Mr. Overkesh. All those in favor of the agenda as you have before you, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Agenda passes, which takes us to presentations. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I invite Mr. Hill up. He's going to introduce us to an award-winning team.
Thank you, board. Thank you, Dr. Nichols. I would like to have Dr. Terra, Coach Terra, come on up with me. We are here tonight to celebrate a 2024 championship. Our ladies who are here, and quite impressed that you're here in the summer, so thank you. They were one of our later championships. As you recall, we had several during the school year, and these soccer ladies, some of them are now Bob Jones Patriots, are here tonight and wanted to give recognition to their championship in Madison County for a stellar year. I don't think we lost the game. No, sir. I'll let Dr. Terra speak to that. He's ready. So just thank you for having us tonight in recognition of Discovery Middle School and our girls soccer team. We're very proud of their Madison County championship for 2024.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, board, thank you for having us tonight. Ladies, if you would stand again and be recognized, and your parents and everyone who was involved in making the season so fantastic, again, thank you so much. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, now you got to bring. They got to come forward.
right.
Get up here for a picture. Mr. Peck is waiting.
I figured as much.
Mr. Peck is waiting.
We don't take pictures, it didn't happen.
That's right.
That's right.
Didn't he just?
One line or two? Two lines.
That you can put a row up here. Yes, we have one row there. And, now, scoot right, scoot right, scoot right. That's about right. There you go.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Mr. Hill, Coach, we certainly applaud the team and thank them for their summer effort to be here, and know that they're moving on to Bob Jones. I hear there's a new coach there, and so hey, with a feeder team like this, there's no excuse, okay? Just want to lay that out there for you, Coach. No pressure. All right. We all have a great rest of the summer. All right.
I'm gonna say that's a big deal. That's how Butler coach did.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, you build
Yeah. Go with him.
Dr. Nichols, are there any more presentations this evening?
No, sir, Mr. President.
With no more presentations, we will move to public comments. Now is the time in the school board meeting when you can come up and address the board with any comments that you'd like to make. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and do not use the name of any person to protect their good name and character. You can address the board directly in email if you need to use the name of any personnel. Ms. King, has anyone signed up this evening? With no one signed up, then we will close public comments and we will move to action items. Dr. Nichols, business action items, please.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval the consent agenda containing the following items. Minutes 24-15 of June the 25th, 2024. Minutes 24-16 of July the 8th, 2024. C, field trip request for Madison City Schools. D, facility use agreements. E, 2 agreements by and between the Enrichment Center and the City Board of Education for 2 full-time mental health coaches to support secondary schools in the district, as well as 7 school-based full-time therapists, 1 part-time bilingual therapist, as in our agreement, will begin the first day of August. F, a subscription agreement by and between Central Reach and the City Board of Education for the special education assessment programs within our SLC. And G, a bid 2024-05 for a white fleet from Bill Penny Toyota is the only representative bidder of $145,500, which will give us both a car at the Transportation Department, a car for access, and 2 new driver's education cars. H, a renewal of the school district Uniflow licensing for our copiers with Leosi Group.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the consent agenda items A through H. A through H. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Overcash and a second by Mr. Cummings. All those in favor of the consent agenda items A through H, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Consent agenda passes. Dr. Nichols.
At this time, I'll ask Ms. Williams to come forward and present the May 2024 financial and bank reconciliation statement.
Good evening, Dr. Nichols and board. I'm presenting the May 2024 financial statements. Currently, we should be at 66%. Our revenues are at 68%, and our expenditures are at 51%.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval the May 2024 financial and bank reconciliation statements as presented by Ms. Williams.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the May 2024 financial and bank reconciliation statements. Can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Cummings and a second by Mr. Overcash. Discussion? We just completed a finance committee meeting where we went over these in detail with Ms. Williams. Thank you for that. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, I ask Ms. Williams to present the budget amendment for the May 2024 budget.
Yes, and for the budget amendment for May 2024, our operating days are at $40.78. I'm sorry, 40 days and 40.78 days. And then as far as the amendment, the only change was to our capital projects, and it's for a variety of projects dealing with HVACs and roofing projects.
Mr. President, I recommend approval of the May 2024 budget amendment for Madison City Schools.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the May 2024 budget amendment. Can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cummings, second by Mr. Overcash. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Sorry. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, I put in for first reading and I'll make sure I say this, the 2025-2026 school calendar. This year we have 3 options that we presented to the public and actually sent them out to all of our stakeholders to allow them to vote on a calendar and to give comments back. We had right at 6,000 people respond. Wish I could get that many to respond to surveys. That would be great. And overwhelmingly, option 2 that starts on August the 4th has a full week for fall break and a shortened 3 days for Thanksgiving and a full, for spring break was the winner. I guess you would say that. It had 57.05%. The next was option 3, which was 27%, and then option 1, 16%. And option 2 was also the second choice winner. It led in both the first and second choices. So we will put option 2 as the one that would be recommended at the next meeting, but will go out to be reviewed. And I certainly appreciate Ms. White and our team, Ms. Williams, and to work on that and put the survey together. We've never done that before, so that's a first, and so I certainly appreciate their work to help get that kind of feedback.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. As this is a first reading, there will be no vote on this. Does anybody have any discussion on it?
I know Dr. Nichols in a finance meeting, I inquired, were we able to collaborate with other systems? Because I know that was a concern for many of the teachers, many of the people before in the past. But with 6,000 people voting in our city, how much effort do you work to try to coordinate that?
We try to make sure the big breaks, fall break, spring break, those kind of breaks line up. It might be a little different with the Thanksgiving being shortened just a little bit, but it has been shared with both Madison County and Huntsville, and I also shared with them what we did to get feedback from both our teachers, our parents, and our students.
Nice. Thank you.
There's nothing further on that. We will move to personnel actions. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval an employment contract with Mr. Quentin Turner's probationary contract for principal for 2 years at Rainbow Elementary.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of an employment contract with Mr. Quentin Turner. As you have before you, can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Newberry, second by Mr. Cummings. Discussion?
In accordance with state law, new principals get a 2-year probationary contract. After that, if they're continuing in active service, they then would get a 3-year contract. So Mr. Turner, having never served in a principal capacity, would start out on this and follow the guidelines of the Teacher Accountability Act, the same as the next one I'll bring to you in a minute.
Any discussion, board? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, I recommend an employment contract with Ms. Wendy Farrow as principal of Madison Elementary School, probationary contract of 2 years.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of an employment contract with Mrs. Wendy Farrow. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Overcash, second by Mr. Newberry. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, I recommend for approval an employment contract by and between the City of Madison and Mr. Barry Rinks, unassigned teacher/athletic director for James Clemens High School for the 2024-2025 school year.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of an employment contract by and between the City of Madison Board of Education and Mr. Barry Rinks. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Overcash and a second by Mr. Cummings. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, I recommend for approval a list of substitutes for Madison City Schools.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the list of substitutes for Madison City Schools. Can these be taken as a group? The group being fine, can I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Newberry, second by Mr. Overcash. Any discussion?
Dr. John and her folks got a pretty good list, Dr. John, going into school year. That's pretty good. Thank you to all your staff. That's a really good list. We'll need them all, but that's a good start.
Anything further, board? A call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval the supplemental contracts for work to be performed for Madison City Schools.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the supplemental contracts for work performed for Madison City Schools. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Newberry, second by Mr. Cummings. Should ask, these can be taken as a group? Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, discussion?
Most of these are pretty standard for us to get schools started. Lots of supplements for band, softball, other sports along the way. Clinicians for band camp that will start on Monday for both high schools, so appreciate our folks getting those in.
No further discussion. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval the teams contracts for the 24-25 school year.
Board, the superintendent recommends the approval of the team's contracts for Madison City Schools. Can these be taken as a group? The group fine. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Overcash, second by Mr. Cummings. Discussion?
Pretty standard for us this time of the year. I appreciate Dr. John and her team working on these contracts. You have the advanced contracts with those folks that have already met the requirements for the team's contract, and preliminary contracts for those that are working toward that on the timeline that the state has adopted.
Further discussion?
Quick question, Dr. Nichols. How are we doing on the team's contract? I know at one time it seemed like the people was coming out of that contract because of some reason, maybe with tenure or something like that. How is that program doing?
I think it's going well. The biggest challenge is the state giving us some flexibility. We have so many electives, for instance, middle school, that we need our math and science teachers to do. And so there's a stipulation in there about the number of courses you have to teach within the science, not the math or science area. So working with the state to try to get them to do that, that's been a little challenge.
Okay.
But most folks that have gotten on it continue on it.
Okay. Good.
If there's nothing further, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols, personnel actions.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend the remainder of the personnel agenda, which has a lot.
It does. Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the remainder of the personnel agenda that you have before you. Can this be taken as a group? The group being fine, can I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Newberry, second by Mr. Overcash. Any discussion? No discussion. I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols, would you like to call special attention to some of our personnel moves?
Yes, sir, I have several, and they're here. Some are here tonight, and if you're here, please stand up as we call. But we have some new staff. We have a new staff member transferring from Mill Creek. Mary Davenport is coming from the elementary reading specialist into the elementary instructional specialist. She's been at Mill Creek for several years, worked there. You can stay standing, there you go. Master's degree from UNA, graduate work, reading recovery training. Has done a lot of work there at the school, and we certainly are excited about having Mary Beth join our team here and work with our folks here at the central office.
Congratulations.
As you know, board, at the last meeting, we had a lot of map movement. Madison Aspiring Administrator Program. A lot of maps moving into assistant principal. And so we've been, Ms. Mims and Dr. Ja and folks have been interviewing and principals and looking. And so let me introduce to you the new map at Mill Creek, which is Celeste Gilmore, and she is coming out of third grade at Horizon Elementary School. And so no, that's right. She can't be with us. She had already scheduled a backpacking trip and is unable to Skype in. As you will know, remember, we have had that happen already at Madison Elementary, so we will have all of them here soon together. Thank you. And then we also have transferring from 5th grade at Heritage Elementary and going to be the MAP at Columbia Elementary, Kara Lawrence. Kara is here. And there she is. Has been a 5th grade teacher and a 3rd grade teacher there at Heritage since 2016, and Master's in Educational Instruction from University of West Alabama and University of Alabama in Huntsville for a bachelor's degree. And she has all the teams are there. I'm not sure, there might not be a tug of war before Dr. Nelson and Ms. Bolden leave, and Kara is in the middle. So, I appreciate, our team working and interviewing and spending time and having folks come in, and certainly working hard to find folks to fill these roles. Of course, the dominoes will happen now, and we'll backfill those positions as well. We also have on the agenda retirement of Terry Gray. Terry Gray has been working in Madison since 1991, was in the county and transferred in 91, became in the system in 98, has worked in the central office and has worked as the clerical aide and receptionist, then moved to the personnel department as personnel clerk and manager, and then finally moved into the role as personnel supervisor. She's been a hard worker, efficient, has great knowledge about certification, having been in HR for 10 years. Terry and I and Mr. Jones go back far enough to remember Martha White in the central office, and that was the go-to person whenever you needed somebody at the State Department of Education. It was Martha White. And so Terry has done a fantastic job handling that, as well as all the changes in the system that have come by the state changing the hiring system. At least 3 times probably while Terry's been doing that, I would say. So we certainly will miss her and greatly appreciate her service to the children and staff of Madison City School.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Quite an impressive list there. We will we'll stay with you for superintendent comments.
I would just like to thank all our folks that are out there and working and interviewing and getting things in place. I thank Dr. Jaw and her team. I thank Ms. Williams and Ms. Gray and, the work that their team does. Eric, I think I see Eric back there in the back. And the bids, we just had a bid. That's no easy thing when you have all that paperwork coming through and handling all of that. So I certainly appreciate that. And all the interviewing that's going on. I'm very proud. We sent out some information this week, and probably the exciting news is that we were right at 80% on our AP scores this year. The national average is 72%. The state average is 64%. And we had over 2,300 tests taken by 1,200 students, and those students excelled and did so with right at 80% pass rate. We had about 8 areas where we had 100% pass rate. And some of those are large and small, but there were some that had 50 or 60 kids that had a 95% pass rate. And that's just fantastic. And certainly I'm proud of all the work. As I told some folks, that groundwork got laid many years ago. There was a time just back in the 2020 probably, or earlier, 2000s, there were 5 AP classes when Bob Jones was only high school. And today, there are 35 AP classes across both high schools. That's a phenomenal thing. And I was speaking to a superintendent today that said, we're trying to follow in your all's footsteps. We're adding 9th grade APs and 10th grade APs. And we were talking about how having those classes helps kids prepare for the junior, senior AP classes. They're in the groove of knowing what that writing assessment is like. And so I certainly am proud of our district and our 2 high schools. We hope to increase that number. Our AVID program is going into its 3rd year at the middle school, where we take those middle school kids that show on tests that they have that ability, and we put them in those upper level classes. We also have that at the high school. Hopefully, we'll see more of our students attempt an AP class. and to try that. We have many that do AP and dual enrollment both. They balance those together. And so if you take those 1,856 successful tests, and you think about the fact that they're probably all worth 3 hours of college credit, it doesn't take long to multiply how many hours of college credit, and wherever you go, you know how much college credits are. Just start calculating up for every 3 hours what that's worth to our students. And so certainly appreciate our instructional team, our principals, our teachers, and all that have worked on that. And we look forward to bringing more of our data to you in the next few months. And finally, thank you, SRO Hardiman back there. We certainly appreciate you, and we appreciate our SROs and all that you mean to us and every day in the district.
And that's all.
That's it.
We will move to board comments. Mr. Overcash.
Well, it seems like it's just been a couple of days since we had a meeting.
I think it has just been a couple of days since we had a meeting.
I'm exhausted. I mean, we've just barely got into July, and just hearing about all the work that's gone on, getting ready for the next school year is exhausting to me.
Yes.
Congratulations to central office and all the different schools getting ready. I know summer is not a slack time for most folks. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Newberry.
I want to say congrats to the new maps. We were meeting a few days ago to move some maps into AP positions. I mean, you are the future leaders of Madison City Schools, so congratulations. Dr. Jaw, I know y'all have been busy. Half of this is personnel actions, and I know it seems like the past couple meetings we've been doing all. So thank you and your department for all the work that you do. I think the last regularly called meeting was the morning that we went to visit the summer programs, and that's always a wonderful day. I wanted to thank everybody involved with that. I always enjoy going to. I think we were at 4 or 5 different schools. Visiting all of the stuff that's going on during the summer. And then the next day we left for ASB conference. So we all attended that, which was great. That we get, ASB always puts on a good conference, has good speakers, and there's a lot of education for us. And finally, I just wanted to say, please register your kids. It's a lot easier knowing who is registered, and it's a lot easier from a planning perspective if you get registered. So please don't forget to do that. You can just go into Power School. I think it was in Dr. Nichols's district update, the link and all that. So please do that. That's all I've got.
You're looking at me when you say that about
No, I'm looking at you because you're the next person to talk.
Have you checked the you're like, Jim hadn't registered?
That's what it sounds like.
Thank you, Mr. Peck, for helping to send that out.
We should all be aware of the need to register our children.
Yes.
I hear you. Mr. Gomes.
I just want to say congratulations to all the maps. It's amazing sitting here. We see Miss Massey, Miss Bolden, and of course, Dr. Nelson. Like, we just saw them come through our map program, and now they're experienced leaders that's taking on our new leaders. And we're excited about the future of Madison City Schools, and just keep up the good work. We know that you guys are working hard behind the scenes, and just continue to keep that up. I want to thank the Enrichment Center, Ms. Bradley, Ms. Allen. Thank you guys for coming and kind of going over an annual report for the services that we provide for our students. And I think that's important that we as a system has committed to provide our students services from elementary, middle, and high school. I think that's all I have for now, but I may want to go back. It's because I'm thinking.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, congratulations. As has been set up here, you are the future and the present of Madison City Schools, and we thank you for all the work that you have done and will do, and just congratulations. Dr. Nichols already thanked SRO Hardiman. It's on my list, so I'm going to thank you also. We appreciate all that you and all our SROs do for the whole community and for our schools, and the role model you are for our children. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Thank you for the update on ASB. I'd forgot we've met so many times we hadn't really talked about it. It is always a good time. We had an update from from the state superintendent. We had an update from our legislative panel that was only moderately received, if that, maybe lukewarmly received at the convention due to the past year's legislative actions. But still, the ASB puts on a good conference and works really hard to keep us educated and in the advocate role, which is one of our more important roles that we do up here on the board. I would also like to thank you, Mr. Cummings, for pointing out, but thank you to the Enrichment Center for your partnership with Madison City, and we look forward to another year of that and just that continual growth there. We thank you. I always bring this up. Went through the supplement contracts list this time, and I just want to point out that clubs and sport contract supplements are certainly prioritized in different ways, and some are much more highly prioritized and compensated than others. I don't know exactly what that right balance is. It's one of my little soapbox things, but as I like to point out, I would like, if I had a magic wand, I would like that we could get to a point where the supplements were commensurate with the hours worked and the number of students impacted, and not on maybe an arbitrary value system that is rampant throughout the state or the nation or however it's done. Madison City Schools has often set the bar for how things ought to be done, and we've broken the mold in certain situations. And I just went through the supplements, and I just wanted to I don't know that it's my calling. It's just something that I notice all the time. We are very equitable in many things that we do in the city of Madison, and some things I feel like we ought to at least look at or think about as we go forward. With that, I'd like to announce that our next regularly scheduled meeting is July 25th at 5. As if you're watching from home, you know that we have several special called meetings in the summer. Those are overwhelmingly. Sometimes we do pass some other business action items that are time pressing. Those are overwhelmingly personnel actions. We need to make hires. We need to make promotions. So then we can make other hires and other promotions. And so as I said, our next regularly scheduled meeting is 7/25 at 5 p.m. here in these chambers. But do not be surprised if we have special called meetings between now and then, and probably even then after then. The start of school is quickly coming upon us, and we have to do everything we can to help Dr. Jaw and everyone else in the central office be prepared for that. If there's nothing further, I'll call for a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? We're adjourned.